Tom here from synthhacker.com, and in this video we're going to be looking at making from scratch within Extra Record Serum this electro house chord pluck in the style of Zedd. So you might recognise that melody. Those are actually the chords from Zedd's track "I Want You to Know" featuring Selena Gomez, and it's just I really like the kind of Pluck sound. It's kind of really epic and like I don't know. It's kind of reminiscent of a lot of the Pluck sounds used in like old progressive house, but then it's got this like electro house like edge to it, which I really like. So we're going to be making this sound completely from scratch. Just before I do, as I mentioned in all my tutorials, this preset is actually available in my Serum preset pack, which has over 600 presets for Serum in that. If you want to check that out, there'll be a link in the description below, or you can go and visit synthhacker.com, which is my website. There's audio demos on there, so you know exactly what it is that you're purchasing. And thanks in advance if you decide to purchase that. It really helps support me and the channel, and you get your hands on some really nice presets for Serum. So without further ado, let's initialize the preset and begin making this sound. So it is a 2 oscillator sound, so we'll just switch oscillator B on here as well. And we're actually going to use the same wavetable or waveform for both oscillator A and B. If we go into the digital section, we're going to use this hyper wavetable for both of these oscillators. So this is kind of like a it's quite similar to a saw. I think it's like a hyper saw type thing, and it's kind of got the characteristics and harmonics of just a normal saw wave, but it's a little bit more rounded, so it does sound like it has a bit more body, if that kind of makes sense. But what we're going to do in oscillator A is actually pitch this an octave above oscillator B, just so the sound is covering a wider range of frequencies. And then we're going to set both oscillator A and B to around 5 voices in unison, so each oscillator is going to be outputting 5 different versions of this waveform, all slightly detuned from one another, but we're actually going to bring the detune on these right down to something about here. The reason being, when you have saw waves in a Pluck sound that have really detuned unison, you start then heading into more like trance territory, whereas if you bring the detune down a bit, you get like phasing in between in the voices, which kind of gives it that like electro house characteristic. It's kind of hard to explain, but bringing the detune down is something you should do for this kind of sound, especially for like an electro house type sound. The next thing we're going to do is, let's see here, so we've got oscillator A and B both producing kind of saw waves, and then what we're going to do is use the noise oscillator to give the sound like a little bit of attack. So we're going to go into analog, and we're going to use this J106 high pass chorus sound. I really like this this noise source because it is quite high passed, like it says there, HP, so it doesn't have much low end to it, and it's just really nice for polishing sounds up. But what we're going to do is actually give this a different amplitude envelope. So we're going to use envelope 3 for this, and we're going to bring the sustain right down and give it a really short decay, and then simply drag and drop it onto the level for the noise, and then bring it down a little bit. And essentially what this is going to do, because we're not going to route it through the filter, we're just going to route it straight out, then no matter where the cutoff position is on the sound, this noise is always going to be at the start of the sound, so the plucks are really going to cut through the mix more, and it really like kind of helps add to the like aggressive nature of the sound as well. The next thing we're going to do is just set up the basic amplitude envelope, and then we'll see what the sound sounds like so far. So we're going to give it a little bit of decay and a little bit of release, and so far we have this. So we're not quite there yet, we're getting there. Let me just increase the level, that should have been at around 0. yeah, it's kind of getting there, but not quite. The reason being is because we need to set up our filter section to give us the majority of the characteristics of the sound. So switch the filter on, and then what we're going to do is make sure that oscillator B as well as oscillator A is being routed through the filter. And then we're going to select this MG low pass 18 dB filter. Going to bring the cutoff down just a little bit. And then what we're going to do is set up a second envelope, which is going to be envelope 2, with sustain about halfway and quite a bit of decay. But what we're going to do then is actually change the characteristics of the envelope so that the decay is much faster before kind of smoothing out. This is because we're going to be putting this on the filter cutoff envelope. This is going to give it that really sharp attack that we want, the kind of aggressive attack to the sound, as you'll hear here. So you can tell already we're getting very, very close to the sound now, just from that change. And definitely when you are using envelopes to modulate the cutoff or anything else, definitely play around with the envelopes. One of the best things about Serum, in my opinion, is the really, really responsive and really easy to manipulate envelopes. Just absolutely awesome job on this synth, really. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers the main section of the synth. Now what we'll head into is the effects section. So the first effect we're going to add is the hyperdimension effect. We're not actually going to use the dimension expander part of this effect because the mix is down at 0, but we are going to use the hyper section. We're going to bring the mix down a little bit. And essentially this uses unison in a similar way to the oscillators in Serum, but instead of changing the amount of voices for each of the individual oscillators, this is going to control the whole sound. So this is just a really great way to thicken up the sound a bit. And then what we're going to do is add some multiband compression, just to really bring out some of the highs and again the aggressive nature of the sound. This is probably one of my favorite features of Serum, that Steve's included this in with Serum, this like multi-band compressor, which is similar to, if not the same as the Extra Records OTT compressor and Ableton's OTT compressor. Really, really, really great way to really bring out the characteristics of the sound. So just drag the compressor in or enable it and click multiband, and then bring up the gain a bit, and you'll hear the difference that this makes. So I'll just A-B that. I'll turn the multiband compressor off and pump up the volume again. You can really tell the difference that makes. But yeah, like I said, make sure that you bring the master volume down when you apply this, because this does significantly boost the volume. Yeah, that is like one of the key elements of the sound, in my opinion. This multiband compressor really, really kind of adds a little bit of grit and like crispiness to the sound. The next thing I'm going to do is use Serum's reverb effect. I would personally use an external reverb on this sound, simply because I don't usually like using synthesizers built-in reverb. Nevertheless, if just for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to use Serum's reverb. We're going to bring the mix down a little bit. The next thing we're going to do is bring up this low cut parameter. Essentially what this is going to do is cut out all the low frequencies from being routed through the filter, or more accurately, taking like kind of EQing the reverb itself. It's like an internal kind of EQ on the reverb, and this is because sending low muddy frequencies through like a reverb is a really surefire way to kind of muddy up your mix, which you really don't want. So definitely increase this parameter, and also I'm going to cut off some of the high frequencies in the reverb as well, just because I think it just sounds better when you do that, simply put. really, really nice. And then final touches, really, you could go kind of a lot of different directions with this. One thing that I did do on the preset that was included in my preset pack was just kind of get a peak EQ and just increase some of the highs a little bit. You will have to kind of fiddle around with this to get the right spot, but I remember when I made this sound that I did kind of increase the highs even more, make it even more bright by using an EQ. You do have to be careful not to go overboard with that though, especially given that we've already got a multiband compressor which is bringing a lot of the highs out as well though. And yeah, that pretty much concludes the sound. Hopefully you got a lot of use out of this tutorial. I really hope you did. If you did, please subscribe to the YouTube channel by clicking subscribe below and leave a like. It really helps support the channel and helps the channel grow and helps me kind of reach new people as well. Really, really appreciate that. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave any comments down below and I'll do my absolute best to get back to you. And if you haven't already, go ahead and visit synthhacker.com and go check out my Serum preset pack. Again, that comes with over 600 presets, so definitely worth going and checking out, and it's pretty reasonable price as well in my opinion, and there's audio demos and stuff like that on there as well, so you know what it is that you're actually buying. But yeah, thanks in advance if you decide to purchase that, but without further ado, I'm going to head off. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.